Guys, I haven't done a video in years now. No one watches my channel anymore, really. A few watched it before. I had 160 subscribers, and I'm not even sure why. On October 27th, 1990, my best friend died in my arms after a drug overdose when he killed himself. I tried everything in my power to save his life. You see, he was a paraplegic and had problems clearing mucus from his lungs. He had taken a drug overdose of muscle relaxers the day before while drunk, and we called an ambulance to take him to the hospital. He told the paramedics he was drunk. He told them he was trying to kill himself because he didn't want to live this way anymore. He was taken to the local hospital where they sent him home. He told them there that he was drunk. Told them he was trying to kill himself. They released him saying he was of sound mind. We put him back in his bed. All we could do was keep a watch over him and watch him sleep. That was it. Now, at the time, I was essentially homeless and lived with them in exchange for room and board. My job was to take care of him, watch over his 97-year-old grandmother and 3 kids ages 12, 10, and 8 when the parents were away. Since I was there then, the brother and sister chose to go to a Halloween party they had been invited to. When I noticed my friend seemed to be having some trouble breathing, I called the hospital, and they told me to just let him sleep it off, since he was hungover, they said. I started checking in on him more often, and when he was struggling harder and harder and harder to breathe, I sent his oldest niece next door to call 911 and get her father, who watched over his grandmother who had Alzheimer's, and to call her uncle and her mother, who actually got there before the ambulance. And then I ran back to him and started trying to clear his airway by using chest compressions and pushing mucus up through his throat where I could reach it. I had to push on his diaphragm to keep pushing the mucus up and keep pulling gobs and gobs out of his mouth, and just wiped it on the sheet and did more compressions on his diaphragm and chest and pulled more and more and more mucus out. It just never ended. And the door opened and his brother-in-law came in, running to help pull mucus from his throat. Suddenly he opened his eyes, struggling to breathe, trying to gasp for air, but couldn't get any. He tried so hard and so hard to breathe. And then his eyes just dulled. And I kept pushing, and we kept pulling mucus out. I kept pushing, kept pulling mucus. His sister came in and shoved me off of him and started compressing harder and harder until the ambulance finally arrived and started CPR. He was pronounced DOA. I have never felt so helpless in my life. He killed himself 3 months to the day after his 30th birthday. His last words to me the night before he died, when he was drunk, were that he loved me and to get out of this town, that I would suck the life from my soul, the light out of my life, leave me dead inside. I did leave that town and married a terrific man and into a wonderful and crazy fun family. But one nephew inherited schizophrenia and decided not to be medicated. He was a free spirit, artistic. He wanted to experience life to the fullest. He was a skater boy. When I was pregnant with my daughter, we bonded over her kicking, and he swore I was having a girl. He was the only one who agreed with me. He didn't fit in the rural area where we lived, so he moved back with his mom and stepdad, and eventually decided to travel by hitchhiking. His first destination was Seattle. He made it from West Virginia to there. I was surprised he actually made it. I don't know where all he got to see, but he eventually made it to Florida. In 1997, at the age of 19, he hung himself in a motel room. He was found 3 days later. A cop called his mother and told her, matter-of-factly, what he had done. He didn't even bother to see if she was alone. His body was shipped back to West Virginia for a funeral service. There was a public viewing, and even though the mortician had done a great job with him, you could still tell he had hung himself. All I could see in that coffin was a beautiful, artistic, free-spirited soul whose life never got a chance to get started. He was cremated, and my sister-in-law carries those ashes everywhere she moves, and they have a special place in her home. She can never let him go. His two brothers have never been the same since, and now never get along. The last memory I have of them getting along is them walking away together from the funeral home just to get away from it all a bit. They needed a break from it. A moment of peace to themselves. They have not had peace since then. The family I married into has not been the same since. So you see, suicide is very personal to me.